There comes a moment in every life when the bridge behind you must burn, when comfort can no longer be your companion and hesitation is no longer allowed. It's the moment when you decide that there is no way back, that you will go forward even if it costs everything. That's when transformation begins. When Hernan Cortés landed in Mexico, his men trembled before an unknown world. Many wanted to sail home, but Cortés gave an order that would change everything, burn the ships. As the flames consumed their only path of retreat, the men understood. There was no escape, victory or death. But in that moment of no return, they discovered something deeper, a power born from necessity. They became unstoppable because they had no other choice. That's what irreversible commitment means. It's not a feeling. It's not motivation. It's the decision to cut off every exit until the only direction left is forward. You can't truly commit to something if you're still holding on to a way out. As long as you keep a safety net, your mind will always whisper, maybe later, maybe not today. But when you remove the option to quit, something awakens inside you, a level of focus and strength that comfort could never give. The samurai understood this truth. Before battle, they meditated on death, not to give up, but to free themselves from fear. When you accept that there's no turning back, you stop fighting the fear and start using it. You become present, sharp, alive. Every action becomes deliberate. Every step, a declaration of purpose. Look at your own life. How many dreams have faded because you left yourself an escape? How many times did you promise to change, only to return to the same habits because the door behind you was still open? Most people fail not because they lack talent, but because they never close that door. Irreversible commitment isn't about recklessness. It's about clarity, removing the noise, the excuses, and the backup plans that keep you soft. It's the moment when you say, "This is my path. There is no other." And once you cross that line, every fear becomes fuel. Every obstacle becomes a test. Every setback becomes part of the journey. When you reach that point, you don't need more motivation. You need only to keep moving. The difference between those who dream and those who rise is not luck or genius. It's the refusal to turn back. Freedom isn't found in having many options. It's found in choosing one and closing the rest. So burn your ships. Burn the excuses. Burn the false hope that says you can go back to the old version of yourself. Let the fire consume everything that keeps you small until there's nothing left but your purpose. Because when the way back is gone, the only path left is forward. And that's where you'll find who you were meant to become. Most people mistake determination for true commitment, but they are not the same. Determination is an emotion. Commitment is a decision. Determination burns bright for a moment, but like fire fed only by paper, it dies when the wind changes. You felt it before, that surge of motivation at the start of a new goal, that rush of certainty when you say, "This time, it'll change." But a week later, the feeling fades, and you find yourself back where you started. Why? Because ordinary determination lives in the realm of emotion, and emotion is temporary. The human brain has a powerful mechanism designed to protect us from pain. It always keeps an escape hatch. It whispers, if it gets too hard, you can always go back. This is why so many dreams fade quietly. We think we're committed, but somewhere in the background, our mind has already built a way out, a soft place to land when we fail. The problem is, as long as that exit exists, we never give everything we have. We never reach the edge where transformation happens. Psychologists call this cognitive dissonance, the discomfort of holding two conflicting desires at once. When you want to succeed but also want to feel safe, When you want to grow, but also want to avoid pain, the more options you have, the easier it is for your mind to rationalize quitting. Studies show that people who leave themselves multiple choices are more likely to hesitate, to doubt, to abandon their goals when things get hard. Paradoxically, freedom of choice often creates paralysis. There's a story about a young student who dreamed of building his own company. He dropped out of college to pursue his vision, but he never truly committed. In the back of his mind, he kept a plan B. If it doesn't work, I can always go back to school. Months turned into years. He never gave his full energy to the startup, always holding something back just in case. Eventually, his company failed. And by the time he tried to return to school, he had lost momentum there too. Two paths, both abandoned halfway. That's what happens when your heart is split. You end up nowhere. Because the truth is brutal, the person who keeps a way out never discovers how far they could have gone. The human mind operates differently when there's no backup plan. When you know there's no second chance, your brain rewires itself, creativity sharpens, instincts heighten, your energy surges. You begin to act with precision because failure is no longer an option. But when safety exists, even in thought, your mind relaxes. You move slower. You settle. The more options you have, the weaker your decisions become. This isn't a call to recklessness, it's a call to focus. Because every maybe is a leak in your energy. Every if this doesn't work divides your power. You cannot fight with your whole heart if half of it is already planning an escape. So ask yourself, what's your escape hatch? What's the thing you keep just in case? The safety job? The fallback plan? The person or comfort that keeps you from fully diving into your mission? Because until you close that door fully, permanently, you will always live halfway. When you remove the exit, your only choice is forward. And in that state, you finally meet the part of you that's been waiting to emerge. The version that doesn't negotiate with fear. The one that acts not because it's easy, but because it's necessary. True strength begins the moment your mind realizes there's no way back. So stop worshiping determination. It's fragile. Instead, cultivate irreversible commitment. The quiet, steady decision that doesn't fade when the feeling disappears. Because the ones who make it, the ones who rise, are never the most motivated. They're simply the ones who made failure impossible. Freedom is not found in having 1,000 choices. It is found in knowing that there is only one and walking it completely. The Stoics called this the highest form of liberation. Freedom is the recognition of necessity, to live in harmony with what must be done, without running, without clinging, without escape. The modern mind fears this idea because we are addicted to the illusion of options. We believe freedom means the ability to go anywhere, do anything, change direction whenever we please. But that kind of freedom often becomes a prison, a constant loop of hesitation, of what-ifs, of never arriving anywhere. True freedom begins when you stop running from your own path. The ancient samurai understood this. Before battle, they would meditate on death, not to invite it, but to accept it fully. One of them said, "Death is lighter than a feather, duty heavier than a mountain." Because when you accept death, you become untouchable. Fear loses its grip. Desire loses its power. What remains is clarity, a stillness in the center of the storm. There's a story of a samurai who sat by the fire the night before battle. His companions were restless, sharpening their blades, whispering of survival. But he simply smiled and said, "Tomorrow, I will die. So tonight, I will live completely." That single sentence captures the essence of the no escape principle. When you remove the illusion of tomorrow, you stop bargaining with life. You stop waiting for the right time, the right chance, the perfect condition. You just live fully, fiercely, freely. The same truth appears in Zen practice. When the mind no longer searches for escape, not from pain, not from fear, not from boredom, it becomes still. And in that stillness, there is peace. Because suffering doesn't come from what happens. It comes from the urge to avoid it. When you stop escaping, you stop suffering. When there's no way back, every breath becomes sacred. Every action becomes meaningful. Every step forward is taken with presence. That is why the no escape principle is not about despair, it's about serenity. It's the calm of someone who has chosen their path so completely that even loss cannot shake them. To live this way is to walk with unshakable peace, because nothing can be taken from you once you've already surrendered everything. You stop chasing comfort and start embracing purpose. You stop trying to control outcomes and start mastering yourself. The paradox is simple. When you have no escape, you are finally free, because your heart, your mind, and your soul are all aligned toward one single direction, and that unity is freedom itself. There is no more noise, no more doubt, no more turning back, only the quiet strength of someone who has already chosen. So don't fear the moment when you have no way out. That is not the end, that is the beginning. The day you stop searching for another road is the day you truly walk your own. And that, more than anything else, is what it means to be alive. In the real world, the principle of no escape is not just an idea, it's a force that has shaped the lives of those who dared to give everything for their vision. Look closely at the people who changed history, and you will find a common pattern. They burned the bridges behind them. They left no way back, and in that irreversible commitment, they discovered a level of focus, energy, and clarity that ordinary comfort can never provide. Take Elon Musk, for example. When he sold all his homes, liquidated his wealth, and poured every cent into SpaceX and Tesla, people called him insane. Imagine that a man with enough money to live multiple lifetimes of luxury, choosing instead to live in a small rented home, sleeping in factories, and eating cheap meals, while facing the very real possibility of losing everything. But for Musk, that was the point. He once said, "If something is important enough, even if the odds are against you, you should still do it." When you've cut off all exits, when you have nothing left to lose except your purpose, every cell in your body unites toward one direction. You stop hesitating, you stop overthinking, and you act. That is the power of no escape. The same truth echoes in the story of Jordan Peterson. At the peak of his academic career, he could have lived quietly, teaching, writing, and collecting respect within the safe walls of the university. But then came the moment of choice. Speak what he believed, or remain silent to keep his comfort. He chose the fire. He stood against a cultural storm, criticized by the media, attacked by colleagues, even losing his position. Yet, in that fall from safety, he found his voice, and with it, millions found the courage to think for themselves. He once said, "If you're not willing to be a fool, you can't become a master." Those who dare to stand alone, who burn the bridges of social approval, discover a truth that few ever touch, that freedom begins only when fear of loss ends. And then, there are those whose entire lives are built on the philosophy of no return, the Buddhist monks. Imagine leaving everything behind: family, possessions, identity, name. You shave your head, wear the same robe every day, eat what you're given, sleep on a thin mat, and walk away from the world forever. To the modern mind, it sounds like surrender. But in truth, it is liberation. Because when you have nothing, no attachment, no backup plan, your spirit becomes untouchable. There is nothing left for the world to threaten. In the monastery, there is a saying, "The one who walks with empty hands walks the lightest." The monk who has cut all ties is not escaping life. He is entering it fully, without walls, without fear. Throughout history, those who reached greatness were never the ones who kept their options open. The conquerors, the inventors, the artists, the saints, they all made the same sacred choice: to commit completely. The samurai called it seppuku, the willingness to die with honor rather than retreat in shame. To them, life without commitment was a slow kind of death. When a warrior rides into battle with no thought of return, his strike becomes pure, his mind calm, his spirit free. The Stoics understood this too. Seneca wrote, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it. To waste life is to live half-heartedly, always one foot in, one foot out, never fully alive." This principle extends far beyond war or philosophy. It exists in every creative act. The painter who throws himself into his canvas until the world disappears. The athlete who trains when no one is watching. The entrepreneur who fails a dozen times but keeps rebuilding. The lover who loves without guarantee. All of them are practicing the art of no escape, of placing their whole being into the moment. Because the universe does not respond to hesitation, it responds to totality. Think about the law of physics. Energy follows focus. A diffused beam of light is soft, harmless. But when concentrated like a laser, it can cut through steel. The same is true for human will. When you leave yourself a way out, part of your energy stays behind to guard it. You think, if this fails, I can always go back. That thought alone divides your strength. But when you remove the exit, something shifts. Every fiber of your being aligns. Doubt turns into determination. Fear turns into fuel. What was once impossible begins to bend under the weight of your focus. The universe, it seems, has a strange respect for commitment. When you finally decide, truly decide, it begins to move with you. Doors appear where there were none. Helpers show up when you least expect them. Synchronicities unfold as if the world itself wants to see how far you'll go. This is not magic. It is the natural result of inner alignment. When your mind, heart, and actions all move in one direction, you become like a river, unstoppable, inevitable, and deeply alive. But there's another layer to this truth: the inner transformation. When you remove the safety net, you meet the parts of yourself you never knew existed. You face fear directly. You learn discipline not because someone tells you to, but because your survival depends on it. You discover creativity, resilience, and clarity that only appear under pressure. In a world of distractions and comfort, these qualities sleep, but in the fire of commitment, they awaken. That is why every great story of transformation begins with loss. The hero leaving home, burning the ships, stepping into the unknown. Even nature operates by this law. A seed must crack open to grow. The caterpillar must dissolve into chaos to become a butterfly. The phoenix must burn before it can rise. There is no creation without destruction, no evolution without risk. The same applies to the human spirit. When you cut away your escape routes, you are not courting failure. You are creating the conditions for rebirth. So ask yourself, what would your life look like if you remove the exits? If you stop saying, maybe later, or if this doesn't work, they'll try something else? What if you stood before your dream and said, this is it, I'm all in, not halfway, not someday now? Most people never experience their full power because they never commit fully. They live in the gray zone, safe, predictable, half awake. But life rewards the bold. It opens itself to those who dare to risk everything for something greater than themselves. Elon Musk, Jordan Peterson, the monks, the samurai, they are not superhuman. They are simply humans who refuse to run. And in doing so, they became free. Their freedom was not the absence of chains, but the presence of purpose. It wasn't comfort that drove them, but conviction. They had something to protect, something to build, something to die for. And in that sacred intensity, they found what we all seek: meaning. So the message is simple, but not easy. If you want to find out who you truly are, remove the exits. Stop giving yourself away back to the old version of you. Whether it's a project, a relationship, a calling, or a dream, step forward and close the door behind you. Because only then will you see what you're truly made of. The universe doesn't meet you halfway, it meets you after you leap. When you pour your whole soul into a direction, the world shifts. Not because it changes, but because you do. You begin to see possibilities invisible to the cautious. You begin to act with the quiet confidence of someone who has nothing to lose. That is real freedom, not the freedom to run, but the freedom to stay and face everything. So, when the fear whispers, "What if it doesn't work?" answer, "Then I will still have lived fully." Because the greatest failure is not falling short, but never beginning. The ones who commit without escape are the ones who move the world. And maybe, just maybe, that's what the universe has been waiting for: your decision. The philosophy of no escape is not meant to stay in the clouds. It is meant to be lived, tested, and embodied in the real world. Because knowing the truth does nothing if it never touches your hands. The question is, how do you turn that inner fire into a daily strategy, into something that drives you forward when every part of you wants to retreat? The answer begins with one simple idea: create conditions where retreat is impossible. The first step is to bind yourself to your goal, to give it weight, to make it real, to put your own skin in the game. Most people fail not because they lack ambition, but because they keep their dreams cost-free. They say they want change, but they risk nothing for it. Commitment without consequence is just fantasy. If you want to activate your deeper strength, you must give your gold teeth something that can bite you if you betray it. Sign a contract. Invest money. Tell people publicly. Attach a real-world cost to failure. When you have something to lose, your brain wakes up. Suddenly, effort is no longer optional, it's survival. That's when you begin to operate at a higher frequency. The second step: make your commitment visible. Declare it. Speak it out loud. Post it. Share it. Let the world know what you are going to do and by when. This is not vanity. It is pressure turned into power. When your promise is out in the open, you feel the weight of eyes watching you, even if no one cares. That quiet awareness that someone might notice if you quit strengthens your discipline more than motivation ever could. You are no longer running on emotion, you are running on integrity. And integrity is a far more durable fuel. Next comes the hardest part: burn the bridges, the act that transforms desire into destiny. We all have escape routes. The job we secretly keep just in case, the relationship we don't leave, though it's draining us, the app we scroll when we want to forget who we are. Every escape route steals energy from your purpose. To burn the bridge means to eliminate every easy way out, to remove the soft pillows that keep you from standing tall. Delete the apps that drain your focus. Quit the work that no longer serves your calling. Stop revisiting the past that keeps you small. When there's no comfort to crawl back to, your mind sharpens. You begin to evolve because you must. The samurai understood this: once the bridge is gone, every step forward becomes sacred. Then, shape your environment so it only allows progress. Don't rely on willpower design systems that make forward motion the only option. Enroll in a course that challenges you financially, so you have to take it seriously. Hire a mentor or accountability partner who tracks your progress. Surround yourself with people who demand your best. The environment is the invisible hand that shapes your behavior. Build one that rewards movement and punishes stagnation. When every signal around you whispers advance, momentum becomes natural. You no longer need to force yourself. The world itself begins to carry you. But even with all these systems, one thing will always remain: fear. That silent companion that whispers, "What if you fail? What if this isn't enough?" You cannot destroy fear. You can only repurpose it. The warrior entering the arena does not wait to be fearless. He moves with fear, using it as fuel. Let fear remind you that what you're doing matters. Let it sharpen your senses, not paralyze them. Every great performance, from the fighter in the ring to the speaker on the stage, is powered by adrenaline, not comfort. When fear arises, tell yourself, "This is energy. This is life. This is proof that I am on the edge of something real." So, how does this look in practice? Imagine you're launching a new project, a business, a YouTube channel, a book. Step 1. Write down your goal in measurable, specific terms. Step 2. Invest something significant: time, money, or reputation into it. Step 3. Tell at least 3 people about your deadline. Step 4. Remove distractions that will tempt you to quit. Step 5. Build accountability, someone who checks your progress weekly. Step 6. Every time fear appears, channel it into motion. Do one small action immediately before your mind can talk you out of it. That's how you turn philosophy into fire. The difference between those who dream and those who achieve is not talent, it's the absence of exits. The achievers build systems that trap them in their own destiny. They make it easier to keep going than to quit. Their environment, their commitments, their identity all point in one direction. They don't need constant motivation because their life is structured around motion. And make no mistake, there will be moments when you want to turn back. When the weight of your choice feels unbearable, when the comfort of the past calls your name, that's when the no-escape philosophy reveals its magic. Because once the bridge is gone, you realize that the only way out is through. Every obstacle becomes a test of alignment. Every doubt becomes an invitation to deepen your conviction. And slowly, pain transforms into progress. There's a strange freedom that comes when you truly can't go back. It's the same freedom the monk feels when he gives up his possessions, or the artist feels when he burns his old work to start again. It's the peace of knowing, I've already decided. There's nothing left to think about. Most people waste their energy in indecision, oscillating between comfort and calling. But when you remove choice, energy returns. The mind becomes clear. Action becomes simple. This is not recklessness, it's design. Recklessness is jumping without awareness. No, escape is the opposite. It's awareness sharpened to a blade. It's saying, I see the risk, I accept it, and I move anyway. Because growth is never found in safety. The bridge to greatness, as the saying goes, is built from the ashes of your excuses. So start small. Pick one area of your life where you've been hesitating and cut the escape. Cancel the subscription that keeps you distracted. Say no to the comfort that keeps you stagnant. Write the message you've been avoiding. Take the step that terrifies you, because that's the direction your soul wants to go. Every time you burn a bridge, you light a fire behind you. That flame may scare you, but it also illuminates the path forward. And the farther you go, the more you'll realize that the real prison was never your circumstance, it was your indecision. The no-escape philosophy is not about recklessness or martyrdom. It's about alignment, about creating a life where every action, every environment, every decision points toward your purpose. Because when everything in you moves as one, you become unstoppable. So take this principle and apply it ruthlessly. Turn your goals into commitments, your commitments into actions, and your actions into identity. Until one day you look back and realize there was never a way back. Because you've become someone who doesn't need one. Because greatness, in the end, isn't a place you reach. It's a person you become. And that person is born the moment you decide there is no escape. When you eliminate the way back, the only direction left is forward. Burn the ships not to lose, but to be reborn. Most people live their entire lives with one foot in and one foot out. They say they want change, but they keep the back door open just in case things get uncomfortable, just in case they fail. But the truth is, as long as the door is open, your mind will never give everything it has. Burning the ships means closing every escape route, every excuse, every plan B that keeps you from going all in. It's not an act of desperation, it's an act of power. When the ancient warriors landed on enemy shores, they burned their ships, and with smoke rising behind them, they knew there was no retreat, no going home unless they conquered. That's what true commitment feels like. It's not comfortable, it's not safe, but it's real. When you have no way back, your mind becomes sharper. You stop wasting energy on what-ifs. You stop negotiating with your fears. Suddenly, your focus is absolute. Every breath, every move, every thought pushes you toward one direction forward. Because now, there's no other choice. The human spirit only reveals its full strength when it's cornered with no escape. You'll discover that the version of you you've been searching for isn't waiting at the finish line. It's forged in the fire when there's no way out. Burn the ships, and you'll see what you're truly capable of. Maybe you're listening to this because deep down, you know it's time. Time to stop playing small. Time to stop dipping your toes in the water and finally dive in. You've waited long enough. You've talked about your dreams, your goals, your change, but you've always left a door open, a voice whispering, "If it doesn't work, I can always go back." No, not anymore. This is your moment to decide that there's no going back to who you were. Burn the ships, the doubts, the distractions, the comfort zone that's been keeping you numb. Because the truth is, comfort kills more dreams than failure ever will. Once you burn the ships, something inside you shifts forever. You stop saying maybe, you start saying I must, you stop hoping for motivation, and you start building discipline. You stop asking what if it fails, and start asking what if it works. The fire that burns your ships is the same fire that will light your path forward. Don't fear the flames, use them. Let them burn away everything that's weak, fake, or uncertain. Let them strip you down until only what's real remains. That's where transformation begins. So if you're hearing this, maybe it's not an accident. Maybe this is the message you were meant to hear today. It's time to cross the line between safety and purpose. Time to choose the life you can't retreat from, the life that demands your full power. Because once you've burned the ships, every step forward is a declaration. I'm all in. No escape. No turning back. From that moment, your world expands. Your confidence grows. Your will becomes unbreakable. And that's where greatness begins, not when everything is certain, but when you decide to act in spite of the uncertainty. Burn the ships, step forward, and never stop moving. If you're ready for your transformation, like this video, subscribe, and comment no escape. Because once you say no escape, you've already crossed the line. You've already chosen your destiny. Burn the ships, move forward, become unstoppable.